In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can apply sine, cosine, and tangent to solving some real-world problems. These typically fall into one of two categories, either angle of elevation or depression. The hard part about this section is a lot of people have a hard time drawing the correct right triangle. They put things in the wrong spot, and so that just means that they have a hard time differentiating between what is actually an angle of elevation versus depression. So to show you a diagram here, here's this person looking out. Now their horizontal line of sight would be kind of like the baseline. That's just sort of someone looking straight off into the distance. If they were to look up at that airplane and then look at that terminal ray to the airplane, that blue angle they formed is an angle of elevation because their line of sight was elevated. So this is how every angle of elevation should look. You always want to first draw a horizontal ray and then draw some ray going above that thing. If you do that, the chances are you're going to set up your problem correctly. And if you don't, then it's easy to mix up the correct picture because there's a whole lot of words in every one of these problems. It's easy to mix up where you think things should go rather than where they really should go. Now, if we go back to that person, instead of looking up at that airplane, if they heard some dog barking and they looked down, that would be an angle of depression. So elevation, depression. They both have that horizontal segment, and one of them has a ray going above, one of them has a ray going below. So anytime you come across a problem that has those expressions, angle of elevation or depression, first just draw the angle. Don't worry about anything else. Draw the angle and then fill in the blanks. So for example, let's say we have this problem here, angle of elevation. Okay, before I read anything further, I'm going to draw myself some kind of angle like this. Now I could have had that other ray kind of going up and to the left instead of up and to the right. Doesn't matter, just as long as you have a horizontal segment and then another one going up above it. So that is an angle of elevation. Now let me go ahead and fill in the blanks. It says that angle of elevation is 62 degrees. So I'll go ahead and put that measurement. Now it says that it's 40 feet away from some bridge. Okay, so 40 feet. Now we're going to make common sense assumptions. Things like if this is a bridge, we're going to assume that it's perpendicular to the ground and it's not tilted over about to fall. So that vertical segment I just drew perpendicular to the 40 feet, that would be like part of the bridge. And now I could put an X where that vertical segment is and then use like a tangent equation. Tangent 62 equals X over 40. There you go. That's just like the last section that we looked at. One other quick example here. Let's say we have an angle of depression. All right, so I first drew myself an angle of depression. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter if it goes to the left or to the right, just as long as you have a horizontal ray or segment and then another one going below to make that angle of depression. So questions like this especially throw students off quite a bit. So I drew my angle of depression, and I'm going to go ahead and put that measurement, 39 degrees. Now it says I'm 20 feet away from a flagpole the flagpole is 20 feet tall, 28 feet tall, excuse me, and I'm trying to find how far away I am. Most students would label that side opposite that 39 to be 28, but that is incorrect because the angle of depression is starting from the top of the flagpole. So it should really look like this. So drawing that depression first, label how much it is, and then start from the top of that flagpole. So that flagpole is 28 feet tall. We're assuming that it is perpendicular to the ground. And X is the horizontal distance from where this observation was in the flagpole. So we're trying to figure that out. Now you might look at that and go, I don't know what to do because the triangle on the right doesn't really seem to have enough information. Well, here we should be making a rectangle, and rectangles have opposite sides that are parallel. So you could then conclude that this angle down here is 39, which is also an angle of elevation. So those are always congruent based on your point of view. Also, you could have put the X above there and the 28 on the left side. because this would form a rectangle, and opposite sides of rectangles aren't only parallel, they're also congruent. So just again, going back to the process, always first figure out, is it elevation or depression? Draw the angle first and then fill in the rest. That should have enough for you to get started on 8.5.